Alrighty. What's good, everybody? It's me, B. Who else would I be? I don't know. But I am here because it has been officially 1 year, June 5th, of me having to undergo my partial hysterectomy. Now, if you were not here for this journey, then have no fear, because I am a documenter and I actually have a lot of content that talked about this whole experience from the beginning and what led to it, and even some pop-ins of thereafter, me healing and part of my process and whatnot. So there's a lot of things you can definitely get into, but I will give you a brief synopsis here as I talk about, what it feels like to be experiencing things today. I felt like 1 year is a long time. I didn't realize that time had gone by so freaking fast. And I'm like, there's probably folks out there experiencing things like this that might care about what they might have to look forward to a year from this, at least from my experience. So it doesn't hurt to check in and just give an update on things. So first and foremost, if you don't know what I'm talking about or what's going on, I'm Be Free, and I'm a musician, singer, songwriter, producer, musical Swiss Army knife, all the good things. And music is my literal life. But a few years ago, I started experiencing some really heavy cycles. And last year, 2 years ago actually, is when I discovered that I had some severe issues with uterine fibroids that were linked to heavy cycles, that were also linked to extreme cases of anemia, to the point where I was actually in the hospital maybe like twice a month getting iron infusions. Like it had gotten really crazy, and don't even get me started on the quality of life that it created for me as far as bleeding was concerned, everywhere, in every place. Everything, it was insane. As a musician, you can understand that being something difficult to navigate. So after about 7 months to a year of me trying to treat everything in alternate routes with BC, hormones, everything just got worse. And the only suitable solution was for me to remove them. Now, because of the fact that I did not want the possibility of having an invasive process like this happen to me again, if by chance they came back, I opted to not get just the removal of the fibroids themselves, but just to get a partial hysterectomy to remove the possibility of them growing back. Which means I got my uterus and my fallopian tubes removed. I do still have my ovaries at the moment. This has been a whirlwind of a journey, and one of the things that has always super been phenomenal to me, but also crazy, is that this is something that is not unique. So many women, so many people experience this on a regular, and it was really maddening because this was something that has been it can be a bit of a lonely process, but also just talking about it and being transparent led me to the discovery of all these other people that were going through the exact same thing, or had went through the same thing, or were even doing fine, and giving me an example of what I had to look forward to after everything was said and done. So I did appreciate that regard. So that's one of the reasons why I also talk about stuff. Number one question that's probably burning: is this something that I am happy with doing? Is this a decision that I'm happy that I made? Yes, for the most part. And I say that in terms of the problem that I was having, the problems that were stemmed from all of the shit with the fibroids are now non-existent. I do not have anemia anymore. I do not have the insanely low grades of anemia. My blood counts are all fine. And then obviously, with me not having to deal with menstrual cycles anymore, like the problems that came with that are just not things. I can get on a stage, I can take a trip, I can fly on a plane and not have to worry about, am I going to be bleeding within 30 to 45 minutes through this chair? So definitely appreciate that regard. The thing that led me to all of this was problems with my singing, because I've talked about that in the other videos too, but I wasn't aware that there was so much connectivity between my blood levels and my oxygen and whether or not I was going to be able to produce quality sound. So it's been a journey with that as well for me. I'm fine with the quality of what my voice is now. I have to also come to terms with the fact that it's just not going to be exactly the same as it was when I was like 20 something years old, before all of this stuff happened, before life set in, before like the healing and resurfacing of traumas and all of that. Like, life is going life, and people are just, your vocal cords do endure a lot. So me coming to terms with that, but also appreciating the fact that I can still sing, I can still produce sound, I still sound good. Like it's still a semblance of who I am. It's just grown. It's growth. You know, my voice has its own distinct path that is traveled as well. And I'm glad that it's no longer being inhibited by all the other stuff that was going on with me. So that's something to appreciate for sure. Some things that I had to get used to or wish that I would have known or been aware of. It's so much stuff, but it's just the one thing I will say. I know that these times and these check-ins and these like post weeks, 8 weeks, 6 weeks, 3 months, whatever, they're supposed to give you a semblance of where you're supposed to be in your journey. Fuck that, okay? Like, none of that matters. None of that makes sense, because to the point of every single person is not the same. I don't like the fact that there were staples that I had to follow of where I should have been, what I should have been able to do when I just physically was not able to. For example, I got cleared 8 weeks post-op by my doctor to physically work out again. And by all general standpoints, I should have been okay. Like, I was to the point when I was walking regularly at that point. I was already back in work for 2 weeks. I was driving, mind you, sheepishly, but I was still like getting back into the swing of things. But me trying to do like a Zumba class, like 1, maybe 2, within that 2-week period after that, wiped me out. And it was extremely frustrating. Like, well, why can't I do this? This person allegedly, you know, was 2 months out and they're doing great. Like, I'm like, I can't, I'm not you. Okay. I'm not bodybuilding Betty or like, you know, person who ran cardio. Every single person is not going to be the same. And I had to come to terms with that, and I'm fine. I will say gratefully that after just giving myself grace and space, I have been generally into a physical routine, fitness routine-ish, since like late November of this past year to now, and I appreciate it. I have a trainer now, but that's not something I was even able to say before all of this went on, but mostly because I really want to keep really good control of my overall health. There were a lot of other things that popped up in the midst of me dealing with this that I did not know were going to be issues, or that I didn't know were already prevalent issues, that I really just want to genuinely maintain. And me having some semblance of active lifestyle and is really just what's necessary for me. So I'm happy that I'm able to incorporate that, and me being a year out from me not even knowing when I was going to be able to do things like that is great to be able to say. November was actually a high point for me because I also mentioned on my socials that I was able to get back on my very first big concert post-surgery. I got to perform at the Classic Paps Theater in Milwaukee, opening up for Grace Weber, and I knew that concert was coming before the surgery, so come rain or shine, no matter what condition I was in, I was getting on the damn stage. So that wasn't an option. But it felt really good to know that I was able to do it. I don't know. It wasn't like the greatest physical performance I've ever had in my life. I will say that. It was a lot of, in retrospect, I did review like, yeah, well, we have to readjust, you know, breathing. We have to readjust movement on stage and how that affects how much breath we have for sound and runs and voice. And it was really just like me trying to get adjusted to a new body. But I do think that allowing myself that time and that space to learn and breathe with that, but also see how any of the new things I'm incorporating physically can help aid that. It's just, I have to give myself time. Things that I wish I would have known were going to be a thing, or even just retrospectively. Like, there are all sorts of other symptoms that I am continuing to experience or continuing to get introduced to. Now, mind you, I told you I don't have a uterus, but I do still have my ovaries for the moment. But that means that I'm still experiencing some like semblance of, I said semblance like 8 times. God. I experience what is considered to be a menstrual cycle still every month because my ovaries are still generally producing eggs. The only thing is they don't have the rest of the organs to continue their full process. I will have PMS symptoms. The problem is that I don't remember when my cycle actually starts and ends anymore because tracking it had become an issue. Like, once I was dealing with the full-blown brunt of the fibroids and trying to treat with the birth control, the bleeding was continuous. There was rarely an end and a beginning for me to track when my monthly cycles were happening in the first place. So I don't even know when. I just have to gauge based on what's going on. Like, oh, my chest hurts, or I'm feeling super emotional, or whatever. Like, I have to use my own like discernment that this is probably what's going on. It's also crazy to hear about things like people dealing with hair loss, which I didn't know. I didn't know that was going to be a thing. And I see videos on TikTok about women saying that this is something that just has come along with them. And it's been a variety of times. It's been like a few weeks post-op. Some have said it's been a few months, like 7 or 8. I did notice a few months ago that I was seeming like I was losing some of my hair, or it was thinning, or there was like a lot of it coming out. I thought it was in partial part to me applying too much heat to it, because I am a natural girly and I just did not know what to do with my hair when I was working out regularly every week. So I was blow drying it more often than not. Not saying that was great, but also the fact that this is also a thing, I'm like, it was just probably not the best recipe for success. I don't know. Like this crazy shit like that is just, I don't, what else? What else is there going to be? I will say, aside from me not having the general issues anymore, with what the fibroids were creating for me, I do very much appreciate having a chance at a no restrictions life, in a sense. Like, I do have to have discipline. I do have to have just piece of understanding with what I can and can't do, as far as what's best for me. But as far as me making decisions for myself, they don't have to be necessarily impacted by anything anymore. They're not physically impacted by what's going on with me, but also I literally am in a position where I only have to worry about myself and my husband. But you know what I mean? Like, I can make decisions for my life and not have to have that be a factor anymore. So I do very, very strongly appreciate that. In a nutshell, though, healthcare, health insurance, all of this mess, it sucks. Like, it really fucking sucks. It is so difficult. One of the hardest jobs in the world is being a woman. Like, I can't deal with how many other things this keep popping up for us, especially when you think you've gotten over one hurdle. Like, it is so disappointing to be like, oh, like, I got this figured out, but now is breast cancer a thing? Like, is this hereditary thing something? Is this thing that mostly affects, women? It's all a fucking headache. But I am very happy to have been able to get control of this much, because I was not about to go out for the count. I did not want to get to a point in my life where I could not continue to develop and go after things that I wanted, all because I was dealing with this particular situation, because now it's not a thing anymore. The body keeps count. I've heard that statement a lot. I think there's a book that's actually under that title, and it's one of the truest things that ever been said to me, because even though this is all a year ago, I still very much have like emotional triggers or physical triggers that this reminds me of the headspace that I was in, the mental space, or even what it felt like to be dealing with this monumentous ass decision and experience, and on the brink of it, in the midst of it, trying to figure things out. Like, this is not something that I think I'm ever going to get over anytime soon. But in the same vein, I think that having that experience definitely helps me be a conduit, or hopefully helps me be a source of inspiration or resources for any other people. I don't want anybody to ever feel like they're in the dark for going through what I went through, because they just simply don't understand what's happening, what can happen, what may or may not, go down, or what to look forward to. Like, I hated having to figure out most of that just with experience. So my goal with these is to just give some semblance of encouragement. It's late while I'm filming this. If it wasn't, I'll probably get up and show you all the stuff I can do now. But please know, like, I am like physically and generally okay. And for that much, I am very, very appreciative for having the ability to take care of myself in this way. Now, going forward, I'm just going to continue to try to do my best with getting my health in order, so that all these other things that I'm trying to maintain, or stuff that may or may not pop up in the future, hopefully it's not something that will take me completely aback the way this did. And hopefully it won't be something that will have such a large impact on my overall quality of life, my livelihood, and my pursuit of my creative happiness. I think that's a generally good overview, but I also want to say that if you are watching this and you have experienced this, you're going through this and there's something I have not said that you want to know about, please let me know and I will absolutely answer it. One of the greatest sources that I had in this entire time of healing and dealing was being able to have firsthand accounts with other people that were dealing with this, because it let me know that I was not by myself and that I was eventually going to be okay. So I'm absolutely happy to be that to somebody else. So please just let me know. In the meantime, I'm gonna keep doing what I do, staying on my music grind, trying to keep things in order, and definitely just appreciating this chance at life that I have to keep pursuing. So thank y'all for watching, and if you have not, make sure that you follow all my channels, because I got a whole bunch of other stuff going on besides this. But also I will link the videos below that talked about what I went through last year, so you can have more insight on what I've been talking about. And thank you very much for watching. Peace.